Hello, my name is Matt. Welcome to Unbearable 73. In this video, I review the recent horror movie, The Last Possession. The Last Possession is a supernatural horror film released in 2022. Specifically, it would come under the possession subcategory, as you can probably tell by its title. It was directed by Dan Riddle, written by Greg Schaus, released by Filmspire Productions and Fort Winter Films. The main cast is Stephen Brody as Kent Peroni, Cassie Shea Wilson as Stephanie Peroni, Tom Proctor as Roger Peroni, Patricia Ray as Granny Inez, Sawyer Bell as Jack Peroni, Laurel Jensen as Gabby Peroni. As you can probably tell by the title and cover, this is a movie about possession. While I refrain from giving away the plot twist, the combination of the title and the cover art are pretty revealing. There are several subcategories of possession film by my reckoning, the way I think of things. This one is what I call the family and trouble subgenre. The most famous you might have heard of this is a movie called Poltergeist from the 80s. They did a remake of it, I think, in around the year 2000, which was okay, but the original was better. The film is formulaic in that regard. Basically, a family is in trouble, which for whatever reason they have to move to an isolated location or a new location, and they become exposed to the entity or entities in question, and they need help to resolve it. That's the family in trouble, supernatural possession subgenre in a nutshell. The plot for the film is roughly: the Peroni family is forced to relocate to the father's childhood home in an isolated area for unknown reasons. I think it's something financial from what we kind of get, but we don't learn precisely why by my reckoning. As can be expected, the supernatural elements slowly pick up in the first act or two. As in any film of this type, one by one the family members are exposed to the supernatural elements. The other family is skeptical until they themselves have their encounter. We learn during this early part of the film that Roger Peroni, Kent's problematic father, had committed suicide. After that, the standard deal with the missing entity parts of the film happen while protecting the family storyline. It's a cookie-cutter plot. Some will call this film a cookie-cutter film full of tropes. Sometimes a well-placed, well-acted, properly directed film that is cookie-cutter is a nice piece of entertainment. At approximately 1.5 hours, this movie is just that, a nice piece of entertainment. What are some of the likable elements? Mild spoilers. I'm just going to do mild spoilers on this review. The actors who play the children do so very well. In many films, child actors either they can act or they overact, which is kind of almost the same thing. Given that we're talking about child actors, it takes a proper director and a proper approach by the veteran actors to help their younger cohorts stay on task. These two kids, Sawyer Bell and Laurel Jensen, in the movie they just seem like two little kids, siblings, and they're thrust into a nightmarish situation. They do a good job. The pacing, and that's the strongest binding and best element of this film is the pacing. This film happens at the proper pace. It doesn't make the mistake of adding too many haunting scenes prior to the climax, as many films in the subgenre do. Therefore, the audience doesn't get tired of the events of the haunting before you get to the big reel, so to speak. Also, there's never any point in the film that you felt you could have gone to the bathroom and not missed anything. That's a critical thing. If there's ever a point in a film where you can take a bathroom break or think you could have, that means a whole chunk of the film should have been cut out. Very good or better characterization for most of the characters. The best character in this film by far is Granny Inez, as portrayed by Patricia Ray. If you know my Poltergeist reference from earlier, Granny Inez is this film's Tangina. Granny Inez is the psychic who deals with hauntings, or helps the family deal with them. Pretty much not even 10 minutes into entry into the film, Granny Inez brings a warm comfort to the screen, and in terms of perception, you just feel like things are going to get better when she's helping the family. Things are looking up for the threatened family, and so forth. I think more than anyone in this film, the viewers will bond emotionally with Granny Inez's character. But the other characters will come across very well. An interesting plot twist, to say the least. That's the only thing I'll say about that. And the last positive I want to mention, which isn't to say that there are others, but the last one I want to mention is they spent the special effects budget in this film wisely. There were no wasted efforts on unnecessary haunting just to show off the effects, as I alluded to earlier. These practical effects for some parts of this film as well, and for the budget level of the film, those are top notch. So, what are some of the flaws of the film? There aren't many flaws, and most of those are minor. The most egregious flaw is something I'll have to work my way around it carefully. So I don't want to spoil too much of it, but there's going to come a point when Granny Inez is going to discover something significant. you'll know what that is. And if you pay attention to what she says when she makes what she discovers, and then you think about the end when you see it, you kind of get what I mean, like why there's a flaw there. You know, as I said, all the other flaws are at least to me, are minor. I don't think they'll bother you either, because I believe the pacing covers up or compensates for most of them. So, none of my 5 questions I tend to ask with any sort of entertainment media. So I'll put them on screen one by one. Question 1. At its conclusion, does this movie make me wish I had more to watch, or does it make me wish that it had been shorter and I'd never wasted my time watching it? I almost definitely wish for more. I'm glad that this movie, it provided almost the right amount, and other than that flaw that I mentioned above, it made me wanting to see more, but left me satisfied that it showed me what I need to see to enjoy the movie. Question 2. Do I hate the portrayal of the primary characters? Nope, and I love the Grand Inez and like the rest, and I think you will too. Question 3. If I can click the button. Did the movie annoy me with moronic gimmicks like double secret reveals, or with camera crap like shaky cam or handy cam, or tedious things like excessive jump scares? No. To be fair, one of the mild flaws of the film, well, I think the director tended to not show quite enough of the horror effects, but his pacing made up for that, as I said. I'm trying to be a little more specific. In these type of films, when the shock happened, or the jump scare, or the horror effect, or whatever it is, you want to see enough of it to get into it as an audience member, but not too much of it that you're tired of seeing the horror effects, or you lose focus on the plot of the film and become more interested in the effect itself. Okay? And in this movie, I think he could have spent 1 or 2 seconds more camera time with most of the effects to give you a little more immersion. But the pacing makes up for it, because it gets you to the next point of the plot and keeps you immersed, so to speak. So, question number 4. Is this movie preaching at me? No. More simple enough. Question number 5. Are there deal-breaker moments, meaning something so weird happens that I lose my suspension of disbelief and can't get it back? Nah, it's all good. I mean, it's nothing to knock me out of it. So my final thoughts, I recommend that if you're interested in supernatural horror films with the possession subtype, then you should give this film a watch. On a scale of 1 to 10, kind of a solid 8, maybe a really high 7, somewhere in that, say, 7.5 to 8.2 type of range, you know. It's definitely a film that I'll watch again at some point in the future. Maybe around Halloween, I'll have a little 2022 horror vinyl without watching some films. Okay. So thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this presentation, please share it out. Like if you like, dislike if you dislike. Subscribe if you want to hear more from me. My name is Matt. This has been Unbearable 73. Have a nice day. I am out of here.